You were not drawn here by accident, and we already know it. Your frequency pulled this message directly to you tonight, not your mind.
We have watched your timeline tighten for months, and your tolerance fall away. Certain people now feel unbearable because your field finally reached coherence. The Arcturians flagged your new boundary. And it will hold now. Stay.
The moment has arrived to learn why you cannot return.
What you are experiencing is not a personality flaw. It is not mood. It is not bitterness. It is not you becoming difficult. It is a signal that your system has changed its calibration. Something in your field stopped compensating for distortion. And what used to feel tolerable now feels loud. You tried to explain it as stress. You tried to name it as irritation. You tried to blame your nervous system. But this is not an emotional spike. This is the end of a tolerance program. This is the moment your frequency refuses to smooth over misalignment. There are people you once could sit beside and stay open. There are voices you once could listen to and stay neutral. There are rooms you once could enter and remain soft. And now, your body closes before your mind speaks. Your chest tightens before you choose a thought. Your attention pulls away before you decide to be polite. This is not rudeness. This is coherence. Because coherence does one thing immediately. It makes distortion obvious. It makes mixed signals unbearable. It makes hidden agendas feel heavy. It makes performative kindness sound like static. And when your system becomes coherent, it stops translating noise into comfort. This is why the intolerance arrived suddenly. Not because it was sudden, because the last layer of compensation finally collapsed. You were carrying the mismatch for years. You were buffering the inconsistency for years. You were making space for what your field was no longer built to hold. And then your timeline shifted, and your signal sharpened, and the old tolerance could not survive inside the new alignment. The mind calls it judgment. The ego calls it arrogance. The old self calls it fear. But we are telling you the truth. Your intolerance is not about them. It is about the part of you that stopped abandoning itself to stay connected. There is a precise moment when your awareness stops negotiating, when your intuition stops whispering, when your body stops absorbing what it used to endure. That moment does not feel dramatic. It feels clean. It feels quiet. It feels like a door closing without anger. And that is why you feel confused, because you expected emotion. You expected conflict. You expected a story. But what happened was structural. Your system is designed to seek coherence. When you live below your own signal, you can tolerate almost anything. You can laugh at what hurts you. You can rationalize what drains you. You can call discomfort normal. You can call misalignment love. And you can call disrespect human. That is how a low-frequency timeline survives. It blurs the edges, but you are no longer living in that blur. Your field has begun to hold a higher standard of truth. And truth has weight. Truth has texture. Truth exposes. Truth separates. And this is why certain people now feel like a disturbance, even when they say nothing wrong. Their energy does not match your coherence. Their signal does not match your emergence. You do not need proof. You do not need an argument. You do not need a reason you can defend in words. Coherence does not debate. Coherence recognizes. Coherence withdraws. Coherence protects the timeline that is forming. And this is the part your old identity cannot accept. You think you must tolerate to be good. You think you must stay available to be loving. You think you must explain to be fair. But we have watched your field update its laws. We have watched your signal remove what was never truly compatible. This is why the Arcturians flagged your boundary instead of your feelings. Feelings move like weather. Boundaries are encoded like coordinates. When a boundary is flagged, your system stops granting access by default. It stops merging to avoid loneliness. It stops leaking energy to keep peace. You may still feel compassion, You may still understand their wounds, but your field will not let you stay in contact with what fractures your signal. The discomfort is simply the alarm that your coherence refuses to silence again now. You did not become intolerant. You became coherent. Coherence threshold is not a concept you invented. It is a line your field eventually reaches, a line where the signal inside you becomes stronger than the noise around you, a line where your system can no longer pretend that misalignment is harmless. You did not wake up one day and decide to set boundaries. Your frequency did. Your timeline did. Your nervous system simply received the update and began enforcing it. That is why it felt automatic. That is why it felt sudden. That is why it felt like you lost tolerance overnight. A coherence threshold is the point where your energy stops scattering, where your attention stops leaking into old agreements, where your presence stops bending to match the room. And when that happens, your field becomes a single, clean tone. One tone, one direction, one message. And everything that is not in resonance begins to register as friction. This is not emotional. This is mathematical. Coherence is alignment across layers. Your mind, your body, your intuition, your future. When they converge, the timeline tightens. When the timeline tightens, the signal sharpens. When the signal sharpens, distortion becomes painful to carry. You have been rising toward this point. It was happening in quiet increments, in small decisions that looked ordinary, in subtle withdrawals you could not explain, in moments when your old self tried to return and something in you refused. Each time you honored the pull forward, your field gathered itself. Each time you said no to what diluted you, your coherence strengthened. Each time you stopped collapsing into the past, the threshold moved closer. And then there was a moment, a precise, invisible moment, not dramatic, not loud, but final. A moment when your old timeline cracked and your new alignment held. A moment when your frequency stopped echoing survival and started broadcasting emergence. You felt it as clarity. You felt it as distance. You felt it as an intolerance you could not justify. This is why you cannot go back to being okay with what you used to accept. Once coherence reaches a threshold, it does not unlearn itself. A coherent field does not choose confusion again. It does not return to mixed signals. It does not re-enter distortion to prove it is kind. It simply maintains integrity. And integrity has a boundary built into it. Your system is not punishing you. It is protecting the timeline that is forming. It is preserving the signal that is stable. Before this threshold, you could split yourself and still function. You could smile and still drain. You could agree and still ache. You could stay and still disappear. But after this threshold, splitting becomes impossible. The cost becomes immediate. The body refuses. The field closes. The path narrows. And you call that not tolerating people. But what is actually happening is coherence refusing contamination. Notice how your reactions are cleaner now, not chaotic, not explosive, quiet, immediate, definite. That is coherence. It does not argue. It does not negotiate. It does not need a story. It recognizes the mismatch and withdraws attention. It seals energy. It redirects life. This is why some connections feel like static. This is why some conversations feel like interference. This is why certain presences feel like a weight you cannot carry. Your field is no longer flexible in the ways it used to be, because flexibility was how you survived incoherence. Now you are surviving by becoming precise. And this is also why you feel grief, not because you lost people, because you lost access to the version of you who could abandon herself to stay connected. That version is fading, that timeline is collapsing, and your system will not reopen it. There is no mistake here. There is only emergence. If this message is landing right now, your field has already crossed the threshold. You are not imagining it. You are not too sensitive. You are not becoming cold, you are becoming coherent. And coherence will keep selecting the future that matches you. Type this exactly, if your body knows it is true. I felt the shift before I understood it. You felt it, not as a thought, as a weight. A heaviness that arrives the moment their signal enters your space. A pressure in the chest that has no explanation. A sudden drop in your energy that does not match the words being spoken. And you tried to blame your body. But your body is not malfunctioning. Your body is translating frequency. This is what happens when your field becomes coherent. It stops processing people through politeness. It stops filtering distortion through empathy. It stops overriding its own alarms to keep a connection intact. And that is why the sensation is physical now. Because your nervous system is no longer buffering what your energy already recognizes. There are presences that feel fine on the surface. Calm voice, controlled smile, normal conversation. But underneath, the signal is fractured. The timeline is unstable. The intention is split. And coherence can't sit inside that split without registering it as strain. You felt it as fatigue that comes too fast. You felt it as shallow breathing. You felt it as your shoulders locking. You felt it as a quiet urge to create distance, not because you hate them, not because you are angry, because your system is reading misalignment as interference. This is not imagination. This is pattern recognition at the level you cannot fake. Your mind wants evidence. Your mind wants reasons. Your mind wants a story you can tell yourself, so you don't feel unfair. But your body does not operate on justification. Your body operates on resonance. It recognizes what the mind tries to negotiate. And this is why certain people now feel physically heavy. Their energy pulls you downward, not because they are evil, but because their field is not aligned with the timeline you are entering. Their frequency is still looping old distortion, still echoing the past, still broadcasting mixed intent. And when you stand in coherence, that broadcast becomes loud. It becomes static. It becomes pressure. It becomes a weight you can't carry without losing your signal. You can sense it in the smallest shifts, in how your attention tries to leave, in how your warmth becomes effort, in how your smile starts feeling like work, in how your presence wants to protect itself before the conversation even begins. That is not you becoming cold. That is you becoming accurate. Because incoherence always asks you to split, to be present while you disappear, to stay open while you contract, to listen while something in you turns away. That split used to be normal for you. You lived there for years. You called it being mature. You called it being understanding. You called it being easy to be around. But the threshold changed that. Now the moment you try to split, the body flags it. The chest tightens. The stomach drops. The energy drains. The breath shortens. And you think, why am I reacting like this? Because you are no longer allowed to abandon yourself quietly. Coherence does not permit silent self-betrayal. And this is why the heaviness feels so personal, because it is happening inside you. It feels like your fault. It feels like your sensitivity. It feels like you are the one causing the separation. But we are telling you what the council sees. Your body recognized the mismatch before your mind did. Your body felt the distortion before your thoughts could label it. Your body registered the timeline difference before you could rationalize it away. This is also why you may feel guilt afterward. You leave the interaction and your mind tries to repair. Your mind tries to smooth it over. Your mind tries to say, they didn't do anything. And that is true. They may not have done anything visible, but coherence does not require visible harm to withdraw. Coherence withdraws from misalignment, not from bad behavior. Some people carry signals that are inconsistent. They are one thing in words and another in frequency. One thing in front of you and another in absence. One thing when they want access and another when they don't. And your old self learned to adapt to that inconsistency. Your new self cannot. So the body makes it physical. So you stop bargaining. So you stop staying. So you stop handing your coherence to a field that will not hold it. This is the clearest marker of emergence. Not the visions, not the synchronicities, not the spiritual language. The simplest marker is this. Your system cannot tolerate what it used to survive, and you can feel it in your breath, in your spine, in your chest, in the immediate knowing that arrives before any explanation. You felt it, and that feeling is not an emotion. It is an alarm from alignment. Your field is teaching you what your mind has been avoiding. Your field is proving that your boundary is already alive. And if you want to acknowledge what your body already knows, type this exactly. My body recognized the mismatch before my mind did. You have been calling it a boundary as if it is something you do. As if it is a behavior you perform when you are brave enough. As if it is a decision you make after you are hurt enough. But what is happening to you is not behavioral. It is structural. It is not chosen. It is flagged. A true boundary is not a wall you build in anger. It is a line your field begins to hold when coherence becomes non-negotiable. It is the perimeter of your signal. It is the edge of your integrity. And once it activates, your system stops granting access the way it used to. This is why you feel guilty, because your mind still thinks love requires openness at any cost. Your mind still believes you owe explanations. Your mind still believes you must be available to prove you are good. But your field is not operating on social rules anymore. It is operating on encoded truth. When a boundary is flagged, it is marked in the energetic architecture. It becomes a coordinate in your timeline. It becomes a law your system follows even when your mind wants to compromise. That is why you can't force yourself to be okay. That is why your body closes even when you try to stay polite. That is why your energy withdraws, even when your heart feels compassion. You are not being cruel, you are being coherent. A chosen boundary is negotiable. It depends on mood, it depends on fear, it depends on what you are willing to tolerate that day. A flagged boundary is not like that. It is irreversible. It does not ask for your permission. It simply enforces alignment. And this is why the shift feels bigger than your personality. You are not learning to say no. You are becoming someone who cannot say yes to distortion without immediately feeling the cost. Your system has stopped offering itself as a bridge between incompatible frequencies. Your system has stopped translating misalignment into comfort for other people. Your system has stopped betraying your signal just to keep a connection alive. This is the part you need to understand. Your boundary is not an act of separation. It is an act of preservation. It is not punishment. It is protection. It is not rejection. It is refinement. When the Arcturians flagged your boundary, they were not approving your anger. They were confirming your emergence. They were marking the point where your timeline stopped collapsing into who you used to be and began stabilizing into who you are becoming. That marking is not symbolic. It is functional. It changes what can enter your field. It changes what can stay. This is why you feel less interested in explaining yourself. Explanation belongs to the old timeline, where you had to justify your needs to be allowed to have them. Explanation belongs to the frequency where you negotiated your discomfort so you could remain connected. But coherence does not negotiate. Coherence does not bargain for permission to be whole. Coherence simply closes what fractures it. And this is why you do not need to prove the boundary. You do not need a list of offenses. You do not need a courtroom of reasons. You do not need anyone to agree. A flagged boundary is not validated by consensus. It is validated by stability. It is validated by the immediate relief you feel when you stop overriding yourself. Notice what you are grieving. You are not grieving them. You are grieving the version of you who could stay in distortion and still call it love. You are grieving the part of you that survived by staying open even when it was unsafe. That part did its job. It carried you through the old timeline. But it cannot operate inside coherence, because coherence has one priority: integrity. And integrity will look like distance to anyone still living in mixed signals. Integrity will look like coldness to anyone who benefited from your over-availability. Integrity will look like you changed to anyone who was attached to your lack of boundaries. But the Council is not concerned with their interpretation. They are concerned with your emergence. This is why the boundary was flagged, not chosen. It is not a preference. It is not a trend. It is not a phase. It is an encoded update. It is a marked line. It is the moment your field began protecting the future more than it protected the past. You are not meant to override it anymore. Every time you try, your system will remind you, in fatigue, in pressure, in heaviness, in that quiet internal no that does not come with anger. That no is not attitude, it is alignment. And this is the ritual point. This is where you stop apologizing for your coherence. This is where you stop explaining your integrity. This is where you stop calling your boundary a flaw. Type this exactly, not to tell us, but to seal the instruction in your field. My boundary is active. I do not override it. You are noticing something that used to control you no longer works. You do not chase resolution the way you once did. You do not need the final conversation. You do not need the explanation. You do not need the apology that arrives too late. And you are not avoiding. You are updating. In the old timeline, your nervous system needed closure to feel safe. It needed agreement. So you returned to people who drained you. You returned to conversations that blurred you. You returned to loops that kept you hopeful. Not because you were weak, because your field was still negotiating its right to exist. You wanted the story to change its meaning. You wanted the mismatch to admit itself. You wanted proof. But coherence does not seek proof. Coherence seeks stability. When your field reaches integrity, it stops chasing an outcome that would make the past acceptable. It stops bargaining with timelines that already collapsed. It stops returning to noise to demand clarity. Because clarity is already present. And the cost of returning is immediate. This is why you can walk away without anger. This is why you can end a connection without speeches. Silence feels cleaner than explanation. Not because you don't care, because you care about your signal more than you care about being understood by distortion. There is a difference between avoidance and completion. Avoidance runs from truth. Completion no longer needs the other person to validate it. Avoidance is fear. Completion is coherence. You are feeling completion. A loop closing without permission. A timeline collapsing without ceremony. And your old identity does not recognize this as power because it is quiet. You were trained to equate love with negotiation. You were trained to equate kindness with availability. So when you stop chasing resolution, you fear you have become cold. But we have been watching what is happening. Your intuition became louder than your fear. Your boundary became active. Your coherence began to hold. And once coherence holds, it does not reopen loops for comfort. Resolution is a frequency. It is not a conversation. Sometimes resolution happens in words. Most of the time, it happens in the field. It happens the moment your energy stops reaching. It happens the moment your attention stops returning. It happens when you stop asking the past to be different. You are no longer trying to fix the relationship so you can stay. You are no longer trying to fix yourself so you can be tolerated. You are letting the timeline reveal what it is. And this is why your mind keeps searching for a reason, but your body does not move. The mind wants an ending it can explain. The body already has the ending. The body has already withdrawn the signal. The body has already sealed the door. And when you try to reopen it, you feel heaviness again. not as punishment, as feedback. You do not feel satisfied by winning anymore. You do not want to be right. You want to be aligned. You do not want them to admit it. You want your field to remain stable. You want your life to keep moving. Because the real resolution is not them changing. The real resolution is you no longer collapsing. And this is the irreversible part. When your awareness stops collapsing into who you used to be, you stop accepting conversations that require you to shrink. You stop participating in dynamics that require you to split. You stop chasing clarity from people who benefit from confusion. This is not bitterness. This is emergence. Emergence is when you stop needing closure from the source of distortion. Emergence is when you stop returning to a frequency that cannot hold you. You may still remember the good. You may still wish them well. But your field will not spend energy to make the old timeline comfortable again. That timeline is closing. That timeline is done. And this is why we say, you are not avoiding resolution. You are embodying it. The next chapter is not about what you will say. It is about what you will no longer override. The boundary is not in front of you. It is around you. It is not something you reach for in crisis. It is something you are living inside now. And that is why your life feels quieter, even when it feels smaller. Because what is smaller is not your world. What is smaller is the amount of distortion you allow into your field. You will notice it in the spaces you no longer fill with effort, in the conversations you no longer keep alive with your energy, in the impulses you no longer obey just to avoid discomfort. This is not loss. This is alignment taking shape. A coherent field does not mourn every door it closes. It recognizes that some doors were never entrances. They were exits from yourself. And now you are no longer leaving. This is what completion feels like. Not fireworks. Not revenge. Not a dramatic ending. Completion is the nervous system settling into truth. Completion is the timeline stabilizing. Completion is you waking up and not needing to prove why you deserve peace. Your old identity was built around endurance, around understanding, around flexibility, around making space. And those are not flaws. They were survival tools. But survival tools become leaks when your system is meant to rise. So your field corrected. Quietly, precisely, irreversibly. And now, even when your mind tries to reopen old access, your body will not cooperate. Even when your heart feels empathy, your signal will not merge. Even when you miss them, your timeline will not return. Because something in you has already been sealed. We need you to hear this without fear. You are not becoming isolated. You are becoming intact. There is a difference. Isolation is separation driven by pain. Intactness is separation driven by coherence. Isolation is the nervous system bracing. Intactness is the nervous system aligning. And alignment has a softness that is not negotiable. It does not fight. It does not argue. It simply holds. This is why your boundary feels like peace, not like anger. This is why you can be kind and still be closed. This is why you can love and still not allow access. Because the boundary is not a punishment toward them. It is a protection for you. It is the architecture of your future. And the Arcturian signal marked it for a reason. The council does not mark wishes. They do not mark moods. They do not mark temporary strength. They mark activation. They mark coherence. They mark emergence. They mark the moment a being stops collapsing into the past and begins broadcasting a stable future. And you have been broadcasting. You have been sending a clean signal without realizing it. Every time you did not override your body. Every time you did not force yourself to stay. Every time you did not explain your boundary to someone committed to misunderstanding it. Every time you chose the quiet pull forward over the familiar pull back. Your field strengthened, your timeline clarified, your signal became unmistakable. This is why certain people cannot follow you into this space. Not because they are beneath you, because they are on a different frequency band. Their timeline is still shaped by patterns that require you to shrink. And shrinking is no longer available. You are not here to be reasonable to distortion. You are here to be true. And truth will change what stays near you. Truth will change what can touch you. Truth will change what your energy responds to. This is the new normal. Not dramatic, not loud, simply real. So if you feel empty after letting go, understand this. Emptiness is not always absence. Sometimes it is space created for the timeline that is arriving. Sometimes it is the pause between interference and signal. Sometimes it is the quiet that comes when your system stops fighting itself. Let the quiet teach you. Let the boundary hold you. Let the coherence deepen without demanding proof. And if your field feels the pull to go further, you will recognize it the way you recognize this message. Not as curiosity, as resonance, as a signal calling for a deeper circle of coherence. Some transmissions are meant for the public. Some are meant for the ones whose timelines have already shifted. If you know, you know. Type this exactly to seal what has already been activated. I honor the signal that changed me. And now, the final truth. You are no longer seeking your path. You are embodying it. You are not trying to find the way. You are the way.